Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Comics and Sweet Tea. So glad to have you here. A lot of things going on. Hopefully, by the time this is aired, we will have a proof in for my book, End of Days. I'm actually just about to finish that thing up now and be sending off for proofs. So just wanted to throw that in there. Hey, if you're new to the channel, subscribe. Hey, we're trying to get those numbers up and we can't do it without you. Join the conversation. If you've got a question for myself or any of the guests, be sure to jump in the comments and hey, we'll get back to you and get that answered. Uh, One more thing, it's absolutely free. Give us a thumbs up. YouTube's got an algorithm just like everything else. Those likes and those comments help elevate us as far as being viewed. So do what you can, guys. Much appreciated. I've rambled long enough. So without further ado, got an awesome guest as always today. We've got Charlie Ranarok coming in hot, talking about her vampire book, Scorned. So we're going to get into it. I'm going to shut up other than asking questions and let Charlie talk.
Hello, thank you for the grand introduction.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're most
where
welcome.
should I start? I guess basically,
Wherever you want to.
yeah. So Scorned is something it's a personal project, so it's like my baby. It's something I've been working on for many years. Man, I have like written and rewritten so much, and then lately I'm like, you know what? No, we're just if we got to retcon later, it's fine. We're just
Right,
gonna
right.
start it
Just go
because
with it.
there's no time like the present. And I've learned with perfectionism, if you let that take over, you're never gonna start and you're never gonna
Yeah.
finish anything. So I'm just kind of like starting it now. Um, but yeah, so I'm kind of just starting right now with like a shorter, I guess, kind of an ash can for it, just to like dip my toes in the water. So this first one, it's kind of an introduction to some of the characters. I'm thinking about adding a subtitle called The Den of Damsels, because that's basically the main character meets other rejects from the cult she has just left. So that's the den. But
Right.
yeah, and it's exciting to start something, I guess, that has been in the works for a really long time. But yeah, I've also been trying a new software with it because I really wanted to speed up my process.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I've definitely like I've used Photoshop forever. Like that's what I used in school. That's what I used for like all kinds of stuff. It's like the professional standard.
Right.
But it's not perfect. It's not really designed for comics. So I started using Clip Studio Paint. Not sponsored, but hey, if you ever want to sponsor me, hit me up. Um, but yeah, um, it's been good though. Like I'm really obsessed with how it like splits the panels up and like like it's just really designed for comics. So I think that's streamlining everything.
It's
Yeah,
so user friendly. I
yeah,
use Clip myself. I've talked to a lot of people. I know Photoshop's kind of the standard, but Clip's right there with it. And Clip
yeah.
is custom built for comics. I mean, it's a no brainer. You know.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm there's a little bit of a learning curve, but
Yeah.
like I'm enjoying it and I'm watching a lot of YouTube videos for how to do the things that I want. But I do think it's helping the process go a little faster. So that's cool. I have no ETA on when that's coming out. It's just something I'm working on. Because
Got
I'm crazy and I do multiple projects at one time.
it.
So yeah, I have Scorned going. Don't know when that's dropping, but yeah, some of my other projects though, I have the second installment of my So I Worked at the Mall series. That will be later this year. I think think I'm in like the August area on that one. That one's been completed for an embarrassingly long amount of time. And I just like I just didn't put it out. I just been sitting on it for a long time. So that's literally completely done. I'm just gonna drop it later this year. And then I'm also working on a submission to I think it's called Faster Than Light anthology.
Who's doing that one? Is that one of Brandon?
I think it's Sarah's. I think that was her name. But yeah, there's so many new additions.
Is that right? Sarah Kai Media? Am I totally off base there?
I'm so bad with the names. I don't remember. And there's so many people that are like new to our group that I'm like, I don't know where everyone is or who everyone is. But yeah, just like the sci-fi anthology. And of course, I'm doing something that has to do with vampires because, again, that is my hyperfixation. But yeah, so that submission is called Binary Ghoul. And it's about a future where it's very difficult to be a vampire because everything is tracked and monitored, including like food consumption, like everything. So they have to like find a way around that. But yeah.
Gotcha. Hey, are you, while we're talking about anthologies, are you submitting to, because your stuff's tailor-made for It's a Horror Show.
I know. I really
got that coming up.
Yeah, I actually really wanted to submit to that. I'm not sure if I'll have enough time. Just again, I have too many things going on, but I would really like to. I did have an idea.
Why don't you jump in there and take a clip from one of your projects? You're doing already. Just a small clip from that. You could do that.
Yeah, that's true.
Just kind of something to dip your toe in the water and get it out there.
Yeah, I just I have too many ideas. Like I really wanted to actually do something I had something specifically in mind for It's a Horror Show. I'm really obsessed with Elvira, fun fact, role model. So I love her and I thought it would be really funny to do like an advice column, like a campy like Scooby-Doo Elvira advice column.
That would be really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that would be really fun. We'll see if I have time to do that. I would love to.
Yeah, Jade, I actually recorded a show with him and Brandon DePillis day before yesterday, talking about Brandon's upcoming jump into It's a Horror Show with the Early Birds. So, yeah, I had both of those guys on finally together. So that was awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so tell me, you talk about all these projects that you get into. Does it ever, I'm sure it does. You just kind of, do you ever find yourself kind of getting bogged down? And how do you navigate that?
Oh, absolutely. I do. And like many artists, I also work like a job that has nothing to do with art. Yeah, I think it's weird. Like, sometimes I think having multiple projects can be good for me because like when I get sick of one,
right,
I work on another one that's just very different and I'm probably in a different stage of the process.
Gotcha.
And then I like toggle, like I'll get tired of that one and I'll go back to the first one. So I kind of just make my rounds until like everything's done. I do that with chores too. I don't know if that's like an ADHD thing, but like I'll like start a few and then I just circle until they're all done. But yeah, no, it can be definitely overwhelming to just have a lot going on. But yeah, I think just like sometimes you just have to have a good cry and like get back to work. I don't know. I don't really have like
believe it or not, I totally get that. Yeah, I totally get that.
Advice for that. Just don't be like me. I think some people can just laser focus on things and
yeah.
I'm not one of those people. I have too many ideas and I have to like write them down, and get them started. So
oh god, yeah, I take notes all the time. Even when I'm at my day job, I'm off on the rig or something will pop in my head and I immediately write it down. That and I'm getting old as fuck too. So the memory isn't what it used to be. So yeah.
I'm senile. I said that in front of one of my college professors, like I was like, yeah, my memory's so shot. I'm just senile. And he's like, you're too young to have memory problems. And I was like, bet, like, try me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, my notes in my phone just has the most like randomest things, but it makes sense to me. And that's all that
Right.
matters.
That, hey, whatever process works for you, that's all that matters. Because
Yeah.
I'm bad about doing shorthand, and sometimes I'll forget what it was originally
Yeah.
about too. I'll go back, oh, what the fuck was this? And I have to sit there and just kind of read over it, until it just finally clicks.
Yeah, you gotta like think about it, like,
Yeah.
but I think for me, a lot of things that I write down are like, I do this all the time. I'll write like a quote that pops into my mind, like for
Right.
characters. And then I'm like, I read the quote and I'm like, oh yeah, it's that scene, like where this is
Mhm.
happening. So like, yeah, for me, I'm like very dialogue focused. I think a lot of my scripts are like that too. Like they revolve mostly around dialogue, and then my brain will like fill in the images later.
Right. My daughter kind of uses the same progress. I mean, the same. You know what I'm saying? She kind of goes with the same format.
Yeah.
She really helped me with my dialogue. That was my biggest fear, starting out my book. And she jumped right in there and just really, End of Days would not exist without Darian Cooley. I mean,
Oh,
that's just all there is to it because she kicked me in the ass, basically, literally. It said, Dad, you're not dead. You need to push forward with this. You draw it. I'll help you write it. We'll work through it. And, here we are a couple years later, 5 issues in. She's kicked me out of the nest. And I had good reviews on the last book. So I guess
good.
hopefully I'm making her proud,
Aw.
flying solo now. But she is still hands on. She's my editor, and I wouldn't trust anybody else with it because she's so dialed into the work, and she's really good at what she does. I mean, it wouldn't exist without her. And, just wanted to drop that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I often ask my husband for advice. Like he also has a really good he pretends he's not creative, like, and then he'll have like really insightful points and like
Right.
really good ideas for like colors and like visuals. And I'm like, don't you pretend like you don't have a creative bone in your body, because you do. So yeah, getting like a second opinion is really important.
Oh, yeah. And my wife, besides myself, she's my best critic because I can show her something. And she'll be like, oh, yeah, that woman looks like, is this a man? And I'll be like, no, that's a woman, baby. Well, she's got a really strong jaw and her hands are really big. And I'm like,
You're
thank
like,
you
that's
so
a
much.
good point.
Yeah, let me go fix that right now.
Yeah, I remember one time one thing I struggle with, I feel like I'm very comfortable with like drawing people,
Yeah.
but one thing I really struggle with is like props and like weapons and stuff. And it was so funny. I drew this character with like holding a gun, and my husband was like, that is not what a gun looks like. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, he just like he was so real with me. And then I was like, it like dawned on me. I'm like, I really need to like look at a reference, because I didn't.
Yeah.
I just kind of freehanded it. And when I looked at the reference and changed it, I was like, he was so right. Like he looked like too boxy. It looked like a water gun, like or a Nerf gun. Like it looked silly. It looks so silly.
People that try to shit on reference, I don't get
I
that.
don't get
I
that.
mean, I don't get that. Michael Turner, I don't know, he created Fathom for Image Comics back in the day, and he co-created the Witchblade with Michael Silvestri. So when Silvestri first brought him in the studio to kind of, see what he was all about, see if he wanted to hire him, they said, "Look, draw me a building." So Turner, he drew him a building, and Silvestri, you can look this up on YouTube. He'll say, "Well, it looked like a loaf of bread," and I said, "Look, there is a bookshelf over there, full of reference. Grab one of those books and draw me another building." And He went and got it, and it was perfect. It was absolutely gorgeous. He got the job, and the rest is history. God rest his soul. Turner has left us now. He passed from bone cancer a few years ago, but just one of the best guys you would ever want to meet in comics. I mean, just good hearted, big hearted, just a super creator. But reference, reference. I mean, it's a no brainer, guys. If you don't know how to draw something, don't fake
Don't
it till
wing
you
it.
make it. Yeah, just
Don't
get
wing
a
it.
damn book, pull up a photo, and draw it.
I know. I think like people, I don't know, there's just discourse in the art community. You have to draw from imagination.
Oh yeah,
Why? Also, every image in my imagination is an amalgamation of the things
exactly.
around
Of
me.
a real thing. Yeah, we draw all our inspiration from life, from
Literally.
real things.
I don't get that.
Yeah. So tell me this. You mentioned several projects. You mentioned your baby Scorned. If you were to take one of them and say Netflix or Amazon come knocking on the door and said, "Hey, Charlie, we would love to offer you possibly an animated series, a live action series, or a movie. Which direction would you go with your project, and which one would you choose?"
Oh, my literal dream, and I like I like meditate on this regularly. My literal dream is to like see Scorned on some screen. Like I don't want to say like the big screen. It might not be a movie. It might be like maybe a TV show or something, but like
Right.
yeah, just getting that to like a level and a fandom that it gets to film is like a dream of mine.
Oh God, I think yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's the dream for everybody. People have asked me the same question about End of Days, and oh God, Netflix series all day long. I love the long form storytelling that's involved with a series. I mean, with a movie, you got to cram it all in there in 2 hours, two and a
Yeah,
half.
you miss a lot. You miss a lot
Yeah,
of lore.
you miss the lore, you miss the character building. They can with a series, they can really take their time and just build it. And if you want to do, if it hits, you know, come back and do a movie later on.
Yeah,
That's
that's
happened time
true.
and time again.
That's kind of like even anime does that. Like they'll
Yeah,
do like the series and then they'll have like one short plot line that gets a film. Like that would be so cool. Yeah.
yeah. So your art process, I've watched some of it, and hey, guys, I'm gonna have it down here in the description. You be sure and jump down there and go to Charlie's channel and check out her art channel on YouTube, and be sure to subscribe to that. She kind of takes you through some of her processes. But anyway, kind of explain your process, going from thought to the page.
Yeah, so I think my foundation is of course like scripting and thumbnailing. I find because I do both the art and the writing, I tend to kind of plot out all of the pages
Same
and
here.
and I go back and forth between the script and the thumbnailing because I think it's important to think about like page turns and like
Right.
how like the sequence, so I'll like doodle a little something and then I'll apply verbiage to that. And then I'll look at the blank page and I'll be like, okay, well, I know I want this to happen or like this to be said. So I'll script that and then work on it. So like there's definitely a back and forth between the script and the thumbnailing. A lot of that I do like off camera just because that I feel like that's not very interesting to like look at. So I find though, like people that watch my videos, they tell me their favorite part seems to be the inking process, which is also my favorite part. I think that's just kind of where you really like solidify the image.
Right.
But yeah, so I'll do like thumbnailing just to like lay everything out, of course. And then I try not to get actually too detailed in the pencils. I say pencils. I do everything pretty much digitally, so it's like a sketch layer. I try to keep my sketches actually fairly loose, as long as everything is laid out properly, like proportions are there, just maybe not like details.
Right.
I like to leave it kind of loose because I feel like if you go in too hard on the sketch, it's gonna get lost when you ink it. So I like to do more of my thinking in the ink stage. You know, so I think it just keeps a lot of the character, a lot of the charm, and all those little lines stick around. So loose sketch and then a tighter ink. And then for coloring, I like it. I'm a little all over the place. I think I'm not like the most skilled color person. It is something that I'm working on. Like I definitely can put out a decent product, but I think it takes me a long time. But I find when I'm coloring, I try to do like flats and then kind of an ambient light layer. Like I paint ambient shadows and whatnot.
Gotcha.
Then I'll do like a multiply with whatever shadow situation. But yeah, so I just kind of I'm a little all over the place with color. I don't know if I'm the person you want teaching you how to color something.
I tell you what, two two channels that really helped me because I have issues with coloring too. Coloring with Kurt. Is
Yes, I love him.
oh God, the
Yeah, I
dude is
watch
just
all of his videos.
incredible. And as far as learning Clip Studio, a guy that really goes in depth, indie creator Brian Shear. I don't know if you checked out his channel. It's Shearer, Brian, just like it sounds. Check him out. He does
Yeah, I
some stuff.
will.
He's he's put out a lot of videos on Clip Studio. Brian Haberlin, that used to work for Image Comics, did coloring and art for Todd McFarlane back when Spawn was just first getting off the ground. And he's moved more into traditional art and that sort of thing. But he's got a lot of videos on Clip Studio. He jumped out there and started making videos before anybody else. So that's some really good references to check out to really kind of dive deep into Clip Studio because there's so many out there and some of them are just horseshit. I mean, let's be honest. They don't really, they don't really dive into it. They just, oh, I discovered how to do this today. And, but these guys really dive in and they get to the heart of it and explain it in layman's terms and walk you through it. Most importantly, they'll do the zoom ins and kind of just walk you through it step by step. So be sure and check those out.
Yeah, I will. I definitely need that, especially learning a new software. It's kind of like there's so many little buttons, and you're like, I don't know what all of these
It's
do.
it's overwhelming. Every time I sit down and start working on a page, honestly, I find something new, a new process, a
Yeah.
shortcut, because there's so much in Clip. And I mean, they're constantly adding to it. I mean, it's steady growing every day. There's so many artists that come up with a brush for this or come up with
I love it. I love
yeah,
all the free brushes. Oh my god, I
it's
love when
incredible.
other people do the work for me.
Yeah.
So
And that's another thing, you can go in there and custom build your own brushes. And I can't think of his name, but I'll text it to you when I find it because he shows you how to go in and build your own brush for exactly what you want to do. So I
yeah.
mean, there's all kind of stuff out there. It's just finding it. It's like looking for a needle in a stack of needles. So
Yeah. Pretty much.
so tell me this. If you could bring, I know we're both in the lesser known right now. What would be the goal if you were going to go reach out? I know and hit a big publisher. Where would you like to see Scorned go? Where would you like
Oh,
to?
wow. That's a great question. I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of the work I admire the most comes from Dark Horse Comics. Like I'm really into a lot of their titles, and I think they just suit my vibe. But yeah, I don't know. I also just feel like we're kind of in the age of indie publishing. And also I like money. Like I want to I want to keep all of my money.
Yeah, makes the world go round.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Like that's a great question, but I guess if I had to say one, I would probably say like Dark Horse would be pretty cool, but if not with a big publisher, I don't know. I mean, I would love to just like have my own illustration like business, I guess.
Gotcha.
I've often thought about yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of like unknowns, but yeah,
Yeah,
I think that'd be cool.
you know, in the world we live in nowadays, I mean, it's kind of easy to go your own way. The tools are really out there. I mean, yeah, used to that was the goal. Get the big publisher, and then you blow up. Which I mean, it's don't get me
Yeah,
wrong,
it's still
it helps, but
possible.
you don't have to do it anymore. You can grow your own thing through social, uh, ArtStation. I mean, there's so many different platforms out there where you can show your work and be seen and grow your own following. And just
Yeah.
like we're both doing with YouTube, YouTube is a huge tool as well. Just get out there. I was talking to Nicholas Friesen just the other day, and he made a good point, and I loved it, and it stuck with me. He said, "Don't think about it, just do it." He said, "That's my
That's
process."
T.
Yeah,
Just do it.
just do it. I mean, fucking Nike had it all along.
They
Just do
they
it.
had it all along. That's
Yeah,
right.
they had it figured out. All we had to do was just do it. But anyway, we get so caught up in the process, and we get so caught up in our own insecurities. And it reminds me, you were talking about going through rewrites and stuff like that. And I've brought this up a few times. Mike Mignola, Hellboy creator, he was working on one of his Hellboy projects, and he had been working on this thing for well over a year because he was, like most artists, he got in his own head, and then he's a perfectionist. And he kept chunking it. He'd get so many pages done, and all this sucks. I'm starting over and starting over and starting over. And he finally realized, he finally sat down and said, I've got to finish this fucking book. I
We're
got to
getting
eat.
nowhere.
Yeah, I got to eat. Sometimes good enough is good
Oh,
enough, and you
100%.
got to learn to go with it.
In my like college experience, like my illustration professors were like, done is better than perfect because perfect is never gonna happen.
No, no.
Like it's better to put out something that's maybe like a B minus, but it's like completely done and it's like consistent.
Rather than a fat goose egg because you never got started on the work. Yeah.
100%. So like, and I think like when I was in art school, like that was something I saw so many people struggle with is like they would just get really and I've said this in some of my YouTube videos, but they would just get really married to like this idea in their head. And then when it didn't look exactly how they wanted it, they would do that same exact thing. They would like scrap it, or they would like give up on it, or they would just like it just would never get done. And I think for me, like I think it's really important to, and this is that struggle with Scorned that I had, is that it was too much my baby. Like it had to be
Right.
perfect. And then now I'm like, again, just like wing it, like
Yeah.
it's better to have it exist and be like subpar than for it to simply not exist.
Exactly. Get it out there. Get it out there where somebody can see it. That's how you grow your following. You
Yeah.
have to get the work out there first
And I
thing.
see so many people. I'm very inspired by like web comic artists because so many of them that I've noticed, a lot of them started really young, and not a care in the world. They were like,
Yeah.
this is my comic. And you see the art style completely change and grow. And they don't give a fuck. They are like, they do not care. They're like, chapter 1's in manga style, chapter 10 is in American. Get over it.
Yeah.
My comic.
And I love that. You can't do anything but respect that because they're getting the work out there.
So much. And I'm like, and it really inspires me to just like get started on things. And again, you know what? You hate that chapter 1 is in a different style. Guess what? 10 years from now, if you really feel like it, you can go back and you can redo it and make it cohesive and re-release it.
You know, I'm the same way. I love those books. Take Werther Scout, and I could be totally butchering the artist's name, but he worked on Something is Killing the Children, and he's still working on it. You look at where he started on that book, and you look at where he is now. You get to watch him grow and become the phenomenon that he actually is now. You know, I mean, nobody knew his name until really that first book kind of hit. Actually, a lot of people were late to the party. I mean, that book didn't really get super popular until it was like 10, 15 chapters in, you know. And I mean, it just exploded. Yeah.
You have, and that's how I feel about YouTube, is like, it can be very discouraging when you only get like, you know, one video is doing really well. It's like 200, 300 views. I mean, that's like good for me. But like, then I'll do another one, 20. And then I'm like, but you just have to keep going because you don't know when it will pop off.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
You have to keep putting the work in. And you talked about the different styles that these web artists go through. I mean, I'm honestly, I think a true artist is never really gets to one style because it's constantly transforming. You're constantly picking up new things, new ways of doing things, and style in general. We all know is just imperfections in art. That's what your style is. You're not
not a robot.
That's your style.
Yeah. You're not AI, you're not a robot.
Exactly.
I think another thing that I've seen a lot of art students struggle with is like, just again with the perfectness. But I always say, if I wanted it to look like real life, I would simply take a picture.
Exactly.
So don't get caught up in the fact that it's not like photorealistic. I think a lot of artists are like, oh, well, like that's the only way to make like high art or good art. It has to look really real. No, it doesn't. That is just not true.
Yeah, some of my favorite artists like Sam Keith, Todd McFarlane, Mike Mignola.
Yeah, they're a bit, especially Mike Mignola. It's like a bit abstract.
Exactly.
But it's so elegant. I really admire his work. Like, I think he does such a good job. It's like he uses the absolute minimum amount of lines and shapes to still get the form across. And it's just so elegant. But yeah, it's a bit abstract. Like, it doesn't have to look so real. Again, like, the whole point of illustration is to make something that is like a drawing. Like, it's not supposed to look like super real.
I really love that can go in there, and this is not McFarlane by any means because he puts a million unneeded lines in there, but the minimalist that can go in there. And Joe Kubert, I love looking at some of his work in his prime. If you really zoom in to the work, it's so simple. But when and the way he uses space is just absolutely incredible. I think he could do a whole country on one page. I mean, that's how good the man is with space. But his minimalistic approach, like I said, when you zoom in, it's so simple. He makes the audience do all the work. He puts just enough in there to where you think you're seeing something, but when you really zoom in, it's not there. He's just tricking your mind. You
Yeah,
know,
and
I think the best artists do that.
I embrace that, and I've said this many times, but like in like other videos and stuff, but if I don't have to draw a background, if I don't have to draw it, if I can convey it with like all black or like a big shadow, whatever, like a shadow showing form or something, I'm gonna do it. I have to draw a gazillion pages, okay? If I
Right.
can simplify something and save some time and energy and still get that like space and form across, you better believe I'm gonna do it. Better.
Oh, exactly. And I tell you one that I really look to for that, Frank Miller. I mean, he's his work. Frank, Miss, hey, that's one of my all time favorite artists, Frank Miller. He doesn't get enough credit because he's inspired and he's kind of mentored a whole generation of artists with his work. I mean, you talk to folks like Jim Lee, and Jim Lee gives Frank Miller credit. You know, what he can do with shadows, what he did with shadows and simplistic art is unmatched. Nobody had done it really until him in comics. He transformed the medium single handedly, basically. You know, and
And it's incredible. Like it just takes one person doing something differently, you
right,
know. Or even like in my art history courses, I forget what painting it was. It's like this famous portrait where the skin is green. And to us, we're just kind of like, oh, I mean, that could be like, you know, it's kind of funky or whatever. But like at
yeah,
the time, that was like mind boggling. Like people were like, this is people were either like, this is genius or this is garbage. And then like, but it just takes one person to do something like radically different to like change the whole field, you know?
exactly. Well, Charlie, hey, I've enjoyed this sit down. It's well overdue. I apologize for not having you on sooner, but hey, plug your stuff. Tell them where they can find you, where they can find your work, just everything.
Yeah. I'm Charlie Ragnarok on pretty much everything. So that's YouTube, Instagram. I'm most active on YouTube and Instagram. Um, yeah, I'm trying to like consolidate my platform so I don't, you know, I
Yeah,
don't know. If you search Charlie Ragnarok, I'll probably pop up. Admittedly, I don't use Twitter, well, X, whatever it is now.
whatever it is today.
Whatever it is. I don't use that a lot, but I am technically on there. But yeah, I would just say most of my interactions are on Instagram and YouTube. So yeah.
And hey, guys, I made it easy for you. I'm gonna have those links down here in the description. So hey, you don't have to go and search. You can hit the link and you can go follow Charlie, support Charlie, check out our channel, subscribe. Charlie, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your time and best of luck with all your work.
With my million projects. Thank you. Yeah.
But anyway, that's the show, guys. That's the wrap. Be sure to give us a like, thumbs up, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, that's the show. Hey, we'll catch you next week.